Stefan Michalak was a 51-year-old industrial mechanic from Winnipeg, Canada. On May 20th, 1967, he was on a prospecting trip in the Falcon Lake area, which is located about 150 kilometers east of Winnipeg. Michalak had been interested in prospecting for many years and had been to the Falcon Lake area before. He had heard rumors of valuable minerals in the area, including silver and quartz, and had been hoping to strike it rich. On the day of the incident, Michalak set out early in the morning to look for quartz. He had his tools with him, including a Geiger counter to detect radiation, and had packed a lunch for the day. Michalak was an experienced outdoorsman and had no trouble navigating the area. He hiked for several hours, exploring the rocks and cliffs near Falcon Lake. At around noon, he decided to take a break and eat his lunch. As he was eating, he noticed two objects in the sky. At first, he thought they were planes, but as he looked closer, he realized they were not like any aircraft he had ever seen before. The objects were cigar-shaped and appeared to be metallic. Michalak watched as one of the objects flew away, leaving the other one hovering in the sky. He was intrigued and decided to get a closer look. He packed up his lunch and started walking towards the object. As he got closer, he noticed that the object had landed on a rocky outcrop. Michalak approached cautiously, not sure what he would find. When he got close enough, he could see that the object was a disc-shaped craft, about 40 feet in diameter. It was silver and had a dome on top. Curious, Michalak decided to investigate further. He walked around the craft, looking for any signs of life. As he got closer, he noticed that the craft was emitting a warm, humming noise. He also noticed a hatch on the side of the craft. He then called out in several languages but received no response. Michalak then decided to touch the craft. He placed his hand on the side of the craft, but immediately felt a burning sensation. He pulled his hand away and noticed that his glove and shirt were on fire. He quickly rolled on the ground to put out the flames. After putting out the fire, Michalak noticed that the craft was now emitting a hissing sound, and the hatch was opening. He could see a bluish light coming from inside the craft. Suddenly, a panel inside the craft opened, and Michalak saw what appeared to be a bank of lights and a grid-like pattern. He then noticed two beings inside the craft. They were about 3.5 to 4 feet tall, with gray skin and a texture like sandpaper. They had no hair or ears, and their eyes were large and slanted. They wore silver-colored suits with a texture similar to their skin. Michalak tried to communicate with the beings, but they did not respond. He then took out his notepad and sketched the beings and the inside of the craft. Suddenly, one of the beings pulled a panel shut, and the hissing sound stopped. The hatch then closed, and the craft took off, emitting a blast of hot air that burned Michalak's clothes and caused him to fall backwards. After the strange encounter with the UFO at Falcon Lake, Stefan Michalak began to feel ill and disoriented. He was experiencing pain in his chest and stomach, and he felt weak and dizzy. He knew he needed medical attention, so he decided to make his way back to his car, which was parked several hundred meters away. Michalak struggled to walk, and he had to stop frequently to rest. He was also concerned about the radiation he had detected at the site, and he was worried that he might be contaminated. Despite his condition, he managed to make his way back to his car. Once he was in his car, Michalak started to feel worse. He was in a lot of pain, and he was having trouble breathing. He drove towards the nearest hospital in Winnipeg, which was about an hour's drive away. During the drive, Michalak began to feel nauseous and dizzy. He had to pull over several times to vomit. He was also sweating profusely and was feeling extremely weak. Despite these symptoms, he managed to make it to the hospital. When he arrived at the hospital, Michalak was in bad shape. He was disoriented and confused, and he was having trouble communicating with the hospital staff. He was rushed to the emergency room, where he was examined by doctors. The doctors were alarmed by Michalak's injuries. They could see that he had severe burns on his chest and stomach, which were in the shape of a grid pattern. The burns appeared to be caused by some kind of intense heat, and they were also radioactive. The hospital staff was also concerned about Michalak's overall condition. He was weak and disoriented, and he was experiencing a range of symptoms that they could not explain. they decided to admit him to the hospital for further observation and treatment. Over the next few days, Michalak remained in the hospital, receiving treatment for his burns and other injuries. He was also closely monitored for signs of radiation exposure, but no further evidence of contamination was found. During his hospital stay, Michalak was interviewed by several investigators from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and the Canadian military. They wanted to know more about his encounter with the UFO and the strange beings he had encountered. Michalak provided a detailed account of his experience, including sketches of the UFO and the beings he had seen inside. His story was met with skepticism by some, but his injuries and the burnt vegetation at the site suggested that something unusual had indeed occurred at Falcon Lake. The investigation into the Falcon Lake incident was led by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, and the Canadian military. They conducted a thorough investigation, interviewing witnesses and examining the physical evidence at the site. The investigation concluded that something unusual had indeed occurred at Falcon Lake, but the exact nature of the event was never fully explained. The RCMP and the Canadian military did not rule out the possibility that a UFO had landed at the site and that Michalak had encountered extraterrestrial beings. However, they also considered other possibilities, such as a secret military experiment or a hoax. They conducted extensive tests on the physical evidence, including the burnt vegetation and the rocks at the site, but they could not find any conclusive evidence to support any of these theories. The RCMP and the Canadian military ultimately classified the incident as an unsolved mystery. They did not publicly disclose all of their findings and kept some aspects of the investigation confidential. Despite the lack of a definitive explanation, the Falcon Lake incident remains one of the most well-documented and intriguing UFO encounters in history. It has been the subject of numerous books, documentaries, and investigations, and it continues to fascinate and intrigue people around the world.